Hello and welcome to Hermetic Journeys. I'm your host, Tony G. Welcome. Thanks for tuning in. And for those of you who have subscribed over the years, thank you so very much. And if you haven't subscribed, please do. And thank you for liking the videos as well and commenting. So check that out. Well, this is a really special video today with Emblem 25, which is the halfway point for the Atalanta Fugian's Emblem book, right? Because there are 50 emblems. We're really excited about this. There's some really special things that are going to take place in this video. One of the most special things to me is Tomasz is going to play the fugue from Emblem 25 on his piano. Just real excited about that, so stay tuned for that. Many of you have inquired about, where I get these really cool Hermetic Journeys shirts, right? We now have a Hermetic Journeys merch. Yeah, isn't that cool? So it's a great way to support the channel. I don't do a Patreon thing, and it's a great way to, get the word out about alchemy, Western esotericism, all of these different things that we explore on Hermetic Journeys, and I hope that you guys will check it out. All you have to do is go to hermeticjourneys.com/shop. That's it, hermeticjourneys.com/shop. Now, when you get there, you'll see that there are 4 emblems to choose from. I've colored all 4 emblems, and you can choose these emblems to be printed on either t-shirts, mugs, tote bags, caps, sweatshirts, and hoodies, and a really cool notebook as well. And if you run into any problems, I've created an email account called tonyghelpme@outlook.com. All right, so if you run into any issues, just send me an email. I'll be more than happy to help you out. So here we are, Emblem 25. This is really exciting. A lot going on in this emblem, pretty complex. Now, because we haven't had this done in a while, let's invite the good Count Michael Meyer to read the motto for us and the epigram. Take it away, Count.
Why, of course, Tony G, I'd be delighted. The dragon dies not, except he be killed by his brother and sister, which are Sol and Luna. And by the way, congratulations on your halfway point, but you have a long way to go.
And now, if you will, my dear friend, please recite the epigram to us.
It is no insignificant work of art to kill a dragon in such a way that it does not crawl along the ground soon revived. Its own brother and sister together smash its head with a club, and nothing else can bring it down. Phoebus, its brother, and Cynthia, its sister, the python, was felled by his hand, Orion by hers.
So what is our dear Count talking about here? Well, there's a lot going on. As I said, we're going to explore that. We're going to unpack it right now, and then let the Hermetic Journeys team really have a good stab at it. So first of all, in the discourse of Emblem 25, Michael Meyer talks about the story of Jason and the Golden Fleece. Now, in most mythology that involves a dragon, the dragon is guarding some kind of treasure, whether it's a princess or gold, or in this case, the Golden Fleece, right? And the dragon has to be defeated in order to be rewarded to the person who kills or defeats the dragon. Now, in a rare moment of clarity, Count Michael reveals to us that the dragon represents Argent Vive. Now, Argent Vive is just a fancy word for Mercury. So the other 2 characters here with the sun and the moon, those are Sol and Luna. And in the Greek mythology, we're talking about Apollo and Diana, right? Apollo usually represents gold, and Diana, or the moon, represents silver. So we have some sort of amalgam going on here that Steve Kalick will certainly get into the nitty-gritty details about this as well, this experiment. Now, how do we know it's Apollo and Diana? Well, if we go back to Emblem 11, we can see here, there they are again, Apollo and Diana, right? Gold and silver. And this is Purify Latona and Tear Up the Books. And if you remember that emblem, it's pretty cool. Now, what may appear to be somewhat confusing is that there's another pair of Apollo and Diana in the background with bows and arrows. Well, that reminded me of Emblem 19, where we had 2 sets of twins. Now remember, Apollo and Diana were twins, right? So it's kind of an interesting parallel there. Now, one more thing before we turn this over to the Hermetic Journeys team. Who's the guy in the background there in the lake flailing about, right? Steve is going to fill us in on exactly what this man symbolizes and the circumstances in which he finds himself. I can tell you now, however, that it is related, I believe, to Emblem 31. The difference between these two people is that the man in Emblem 25 is not wearing a crown, and the man in Emblem 31 is wearing a crown. And we'll look at that distinction when we get, of course, to Emblem 31. So something to look forward to. And a little bit of a left turn here. For those of you interested in the analytical psychologist Carl Jung used a lot of alchemical imagery in the last 30 years of his life to illustrate some concepts in his analytical psychology. And what's really interesting is that he typically used the dragon to represent the ego. Now, of course, Michael Meyer and Matthias Marion had no concept of analytical psychology.
We didn't know. How could we possibly know? Who the hell is Carl Jung? How could we possibly know?
But what I'm saying is that Jung used it to illustrate some of his concepts. And here we see the dragon being clubbed by masculine and feminine energy. So why do we subdue our egos? Well, to evolve as human beings. And maybe the concept of the masculine and feminine energies subduing the dragon, which brings about a harmony within, helps us evolve as a human being. Now, before we get to the Hermetic Journeys team chiming in on all this, let's take a look at Tomasz playing the fugue from Emblem 25. Now, each emblem has, of course, a piece of sheet music or something called a fugue. It's a 3-part fugue. Now, I used to talk about these in the earlier emblems, but I kind of dropped it because it made the videos too long. So I hope you'll appreciate here that Tomasz is going to play this for us. I'm just real excited about this. So check this out. Take it away, Tomasz. Hey, wasn't that cool? Yeah.
Yeah, that was great. He's got talent. What happened to you?
Yeah, okay. Well, let me introduce somebody who some of you may not be familiar with. He hasn't been here for a long time. He's a friend of an acquaintance of mine, the Angry Mommy Candle. Yeah, how you doing?
Friend? Acquaintance? I think you're really pushing it, pal.
Oh boy, you know, this is Emblem 25, the 25th emblem. Can't you be nice for a change?
Why disappoint people? Besides, you haven't had me on, and my feelings are hurt.
Really? Wow. I apologize then. I'm truly sorry, and I hope you can forgive me. Really.
What a sucker. I just wanted to see you apologize. It was great not having to see your ugly old mug.
Okay, I think we've all had enough of this. Let's watch Nathan and Jake's contribution to Emblem 25.
Yeah, let's get somebody on with talent and brains for a change instead of you.
Oh, hi there. Hey, Tony. Hey, HJ fam. Happy Emblem 25 to you. Here we are, Fairmont Park, Riverside, California. Thankfully, no large naked men swimming in the water as of now. Love the symbolism in this one. The separation of the male and female to the right and left side. How the naked swimming man is coming out of the lunar structure, almost like a reverse Zeus, Athena type thing, of the female figure. Whereas on the other side, we see the sun is separate from the man's head with the club there. Interesting that from the woman's head comes more life, from the man's comes violence. But yet we see that resolved in the very center, right? Where the guy, Archer, kind of happy Arjuna stuff going on, is central to the center dragon, serpent, if you will. Like Pratchett said, right? The man is the ascending ape and the descending angel. And hopefully in the middle of that we can find some kind of harmony. Anyway, lovely day here, overcast. You don't get that much in California. When we do, it's appreciated. Hope all's well with you guys. Much love.
Thank you, Nathan and Jake. That was awesome. Short but sweet. And you know, I love Nathan's unique perspective on these emblems and how he always sees things that I never managed to see. And then he tells you all this stuff. You go, oh, wait, yeah. It's really cool. And that's why we do this on Hermetic Journeys. I'm so fortunate to have 4 brilliant people express their perspectives on these emblems. And the reason I do it this way, the reason I didn't design it this way, but it turned out this way, is because Count Michael and other people of that era used to get these emblem books, and people would read them and look at the pictures and sing the songs and gather around in someone's parlor, and each person would express their particular perspective concerning these emblems. That's why this is so cool. So this is kind of like a modern digital version of what Count Michael and many others like him would do back in the 1600s and 1700s. I think it's really cool.
Yeah, I like Jake.
You do?
If you gave me arms and hands, I'd pet him.
You?
Yeah, I'm angry, but I ain't heartless.
Some people might disagree with that statement. Myself, for instance. Anyway, now it's time for Steve Kalick to bring us the alchemical perspective concerning this emblem. Help us, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're our only hope here. This is a really complex emblem. And take it away, Steve. And hi.
Hello, my good friend, Tony. And greetings to all your followers. Well, this emblem was quite a challenge. And to fully understand it, I myself had to call upon my good friend and colleague in the work and on the path with me, Eric Laporte. Before we begin with our emblem, allow me to introduce to you Eric Laporte. Eric Laporte is a great friend of mine. I have worked with him on some very worthy projects and experiments. He's the most knowledgeable and is always most interested in ancient technologies, especially in laboratory alchemical works. He has written many books and can be found on academiaedu.edu. I actually wrote the foreword to his wonderful book, Keys to the Kingdom of Alchemy, which deciphers the 12 keys of Basil Valentine. His monumental book is Cracking the Philosopher's Stone. Those who are interested may want to look into his works. Okay, let's get to our emblem now. This emblem reveals the work on solidifying mercury or quicksilver, extracted from cinnabar. This solidifying is achieved by amalgamating metallic mercury with either gold or silver. This was a secret chemical technology at the time, and though not mentioned in the text, except for the golden fleece, this was a useful alchemical work for the purpose of making a very fine gold or silver calx by numerous amalgamations and distillations or calcinations. So let us look at this emblem. We see a man representing gold by the symbol of the sun over his head. The sun and gold have always been synonymous with each other. We also see a woman representing silver by the crescent moon over her head. The moon and silver also have always been synonymous with each other. They are beating the dragon with clubs for the purpose of killing it. Here the dragon represents metallic mercury, known also as quicksilver. Metallic mercury is free-flowing, which represents its aliveness, as vivivity and movement, thus living. The dragon being clubbed to death is to stop its movement, stop its flow, to solidify it, removing its flow and its aliveness. This is clearly the much sought-after solidification of mercury, still sought after today by novice alchemists. We see in the background a man swimming in the sea. The sea is the philosophic mercury. There are many alchemical emblems that reveal to us this sea being the mercury. The man swimming in the sea is actually drowning and represents gold and is being dissolved by the quicksilver and mercury. We also see a man and a woman representing gold and silver with bows and arrows hunting the dragon to capture him and immobilize him. The beating to death of the dragon is depicting the actual amalgamation process, which is to blend and grind together the quicksilver or mercury, with gold or silver. This blending and grinding would solidify the mercury and gold into an amalgam. They would have used a mortar and pestle. That would be the symbol that we see in the picture. This is the clubbing to death and grinding together. They also used a cloth to squeeze the excess mercury out of the amalgam. And this is depicted in the text, or it is encrypted in the text, where it says, and I'm quoting, "It is necessary to congeal him with the sun and the moon, and then included him in bands of nets." Bands of nets, that would be the cloth. The result of this process yields an amalgam, or a malleable ingot with the texture that can pass as metallic lead. In order to receive the golden fleece, or the finest gold calx, this process was repeated several times by distilling off the mercury, which gave it new life, leaving behind a gold calx. The mercury was then re-amalgamated with the gold several times, and this caused a sort of philosophical refinement in the end product. A very fine gold powder and our golden fleece, which was a very useful product for further alchemical works, especially for the concoctions of potable elixirs and the philosopher's stone. We have to understand that such repetition of the work in our philosophy creates a philosophical product, which becomes alchemical gold, a living gold. Since the amalgam ingot resembled metallic lead, it was much safer to transport gold in this disguised form. This is indicated in the last sentence of our text, where the author says of the dragon in nets and tamed by beating clubs, by the help of many land carriages, he was brought to the ship which conveyed him to Rome. So the author is telling us that they transported it to Rome in this disguised form. But the text also says that because it resembled this lead, it carries a crime along with it. Now, what can that mean? What kind of a crime could that mean? Well, it clearly indicates that it can be used for fraud, as in fake transmutations, which charlatans actually did. In the Middle Ages, when chemistry was not yet an empirical science, and when superstition and ignorance led the masses, it was easy to impress a patron and others with a fake transmutation of such an amalgam that easily passed as lead. The charlatan would place a fake lead ingot, which is actually a mercury gold amalgam, into a crucible and start heating it. And just when the mercury would start to evaporate, he would then sprinkle on it some fake projection powder, probably a red mercuric sulfide, that would cause a dramatic effect and show. He would then continue heating it till all the mercury dissolved and evaporated, leaving behind a fine gold dust. Then he would increase the heat till the gold dust melts into a fine gold ingot. And voila! Lead has been transmuted to gold. Many fake charlatans have been imprisoned for this, as eventually the secret came out. It takes gold to make gold, so eventually charlatans ran out of gold. Okay, that's it, my friends. That's about all I can say about this Emblem 25. I hope it makes sense to you and that you've enjoyed it. A lot more could be said. In actuality, an entire book can be written about it, since it involves a lot of mythology, like Jason and the Argonauts, and a lot of philosophy too. So, all best wishes to all, and bye for now.
Thank you, Steve, for that revealing look into this emblem. And thank you, J. Eric Laporte, for working with Steve on this complex undertaking. I mean, truly appreciate it. Thank you, my dear friend. And,
after watching Steve, I was thinking I should become an alchemist.
Really? You pointed out earlier that you don't have any, limbs, arms and legs. How would you hold a flask?
I don't need to. You could hold it over me, and I could heat it up. Yeah, you could be my, assistant. I think I'll call you, Igor.
Okay, I'm not even going to honor that with a response. We saw him before playing the Fugue from Emblem 25, and now he's going to treat us with his unique perspective on this emblem. Here he is, the ever-fascinating Tomasz.
Greetings from the castle of Count Horror. Next comes a short section from the Argonautica of Apollonius Rhodius, who was a librarian in the Library of Alexandria in the 3rd century BC. Listen carefully now, so that I can devise help for you. After you go to meet my father and he gives you the deadly teeth from the snake's jaws to sow, then watch for the time when the night is divided in the middle and bathe in the streams of a tireless river. And alone, apart from all others, clad in dark garments, dig a round pit. Slay a female sheep in it and place the unbutchered carcass on the pyre which you have carefully erected over the pit itself. Appease Hecate, the only child of Perses, as you pour from a goblet libations of the hive-held labors of bees. Then after you propitiate the goddess with due heed, withdraw from the pyre, and let neither the sound of footsteps make you turn back around, nor the barking of dogs. Lest you invalidate all these rites, and you, yourself, fail to return in good order to your comrades. At dawn, moisten this drug, strip, and anoint your body as with oil. And in it there will be unbounded valor and great strength, and you would think it equal not to men's bodies, but to those of the immortal gods. As usual, I will now explain some elements of the emblem using terms from Advaita Vedanta. If you listened carefully to the Argonautica story, then you must have noticed how similar these events were to those of Emblem 24. I won't go into details now, just pause the video if you are interested. Now back to Emblem 25. Dr. Meyer wrote that Jason received the images of the sun and the moon from Medea. In the Argonautica excerpt we saw, the rite was offered to the moon goddess Hecate. She was basically a variant of Artemis. And the rite ends with the dawn, the rise of the sun. This specific sequence of the moon and the sun appearing can be found in many Greek myths. For example, in the abduction of Persephone, first the moon goddess Hecate helps the search, then later Helios tells where Persephone can be found. We know from the Iphigenia in Aulis, a drama written by Euripides, that the full story of the Iliad at the beginning revolves around the goddess Artemis, then later, when the war starts, around Apollo. Leto also gave birth to her children in this order, first to Artemis and then to Apollo. In the famous cave allegory of Plato, after leaving the cave, first we see the moon and then just later the sun. In my interpretation, the moon and the sun have two meanings. First, they are symbols of the two main phases of the magnum opus. In the first part of the magnum opus, or sadhana, awareness is only experienced directly when no objects are present. For example, during relaxation with closed eyes. But when objects are present, then the experience is only indirect, like a reflection. Similarly, how the moon reflects the light of the sun. While in the second phase, the experience of the true self is direct, even in the presence of objects. Therefore, it can be symbolized with the sun. In addition, the moon and the sun can also be symbols of the reality of phenomena and the reality of the self. Their communion is called the subject-object collapse in Advaita, but I have talked about this topic already in the video for Emblem 23, so I won't explain it here. But with either one of these two meanings, the sun and the moon represent the complete magnum opus. For that reason, the work needs to be fully completed in order to kill the dragon. But what is the dragon? Dr. Meyer wrote that the dragon is the same as the god Hermes. And killing it means making the dragon inanimate like a stone, thus creating the Philosopher's Stone. In my interpretation, the god Hermes represents the space in which all thoughts, all perceptions, bodily sensations, etc. appear. This space is one of the main aspects of awareness in Advaita. Hermes is a thief because it is the space that which takes possession of the body-mind during the sadhana. He often steals cattle because four-legged terrestrial animals are symbols of the body-mind. Hermes, being a shepherd god, is also related to this meaning. He is the herald of the gods because the gods not only represent parts of the world but also parts of the body-mind, and the impulses between these parts also travel through this space. Hermes is also the guide of the dead souls, and he can make anyone fall asleep. These two meanings are related, because for ancient Greeks, sleep was considered a temporary death, when the soul leaves the body for a while. In Advaita, there is a great amount of texts and videos about how the three main states, wakefulness, dreaming and deep sleep, all appear inside awareness or the space. His statues that once stood over all the roads of Greece also talk about this spatial nature of Hermes, as they display verticality and horizontality. I have already talked about the Herma statues in the video for Emblem 22. So if the dragon is the space, then why would we want to turn it into a stone, and what does that mean? I think the creation of the Philosopher's Stone means experiencing the changeless nature of our true self. As the space is one of the aspects of the true self, and at the beginning of the sadhana, the experience still seems to be changing, because remnants of ignorance are still present in the body-mind.
Let me say something though. Yesterday you told me there is no expansion, and today you told somebody that the body is expanding. So is there expansion? Is there a deepening? Or is it just that, well, the other thing is awareness is also expanding. So, you could say it's static, but it's also changing at the same time? Because by definition, if it's infinite, it's expanding.
The difference is that in ignorance, we believe to be this thing that is contracted, that expands to a certain level, and that contracts again. We believe to be this thing here. Whereas in knowledge, we are the space within which these contracting and expanding things appear.
Thank you, Tomasz, for that most excellent contribution, and thank you for playing the piano, playing the fugue from Emblem 25, and as always, your unique perspective. You truly are a marvel, my friend, and thank you so very, very much. Well, that about wraps it up for Emblem.
Yeah, that was really cool, Tomasz. I think I really understood it.
As I said, that about wraps it up for Emblem 25, and that about wraps it up for the Angry Mummy Candle too. But in all seriousness, I hope you've enjoyed this video. And for those of you who haven't subscribed, if you've gotten this far in the video, hey, subscribe. You must like it. And please like and comment. We love that stuff. And also check out the Hermetic Journeys merch page. We're so excited about that. Think about walking into a party with a shirt like this and people saying, what the hell is that? Think about the conversation starters. that you can have with these kinds of things. Right? Thanks again for watching. Truly appreciated. Have a wonderful and safe journey. And next time we'll see you for Emblem 26. Yeah, really. So goodbye, Angry Mummy Candle.
Yeah, farewell, Igor.
See you soon.